Okay, once again, Moist Critical, Penguin Zero, aka Charlie, is just wrong. He's wrong about something. And he's targeted a beloved creator and someone who's done a lot of good. He's done a lot of good and spread a lot of love and joy with all of his content. Yeah, and I want to clear some things up. Because he doesn't understand. I don't blame him for not understanding. It seems like really like things that really trigger him. Things that just really trigger him really affect him, and he gets emotional about things. And so it's easy for him, with all the power that he has and influence, to just get on to the mic and just start venting, saying stuff, right? And especially because he makes like fucking 3 videos a day, it's very easy for him to make mistakes, right? And he definitely made one here. This is his video about Ross Creations, and he's basically talking about how. And he's basically talking about how in this video that Ross posted, he made a giant Looney Tunes style mouse trap, and it launched a possum up into the air, and it came landing on the ground, and then probably lived agonizing death. And this all is basically what he wraps it up to, and what a lot of the world wraps all of this up to, is that this is Ross exposing his dark side. This is Ross being exposed for this is like, yeah, like, oh my God, like Ross is such a bad guy. We thought he was a good guy. No, he's really not a good guy. He's actually a bad guy. And that's like what he chalks it up to, and that's what a lot of people are chalking it up to. I looked on the actual Instagram post itself. I made an Instagram post itself. I did all of that. I made a post for it, and yeah, it's got a lot. It's been quite controversial, and I feel as though Penguins, when he makes a video calling people to arms, not to arms, calling, basically saying that he lost all of his respect, and that basically makes him out to basically be, you shouldn't respect him anymore for what he did, because what he did is inherently bad. There's no understanding. I'm pretty positive he says in the video, I don't know, I couldn't possibly fathom what would make him think that this is a good idea, like, right? So basically what he's admitting right there is that he doesn't actually understand, right? And so what I want to do for you guys right now is just explain what is actually going on here, because this actually isn't as bad. This actually isn't bad. This is not a bad thing, okay? And if you break it down and you actually get into the understanding of what this actually is, it's easy to take and look at this and think, oh man, look at the devil himself. Look at what he did. The devil himself. It's coming out. Just look at this dark side. Who could ever do this? But if you just look at it with a slightly different perspective and a bit more awareness and understanding, it completely changes everything, right? And so that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the other perspective that completely changes everything, all right? And it starts with this. Death is normalized to a lot of people. So a lot of people, when they're children, grow up, hunting deer, raising cattle, raising chickens, and all of those things. You kill all of those things. If you kill a chicken, your parents might tell you to just walk up and grab it by its neck and spin it in circles and kill it. And that's how you would kill a chicken, right? And that's just an example. All right, we don't got to get all too deep into it, right? So if you are somebody who grew up in an environment like that, or not, if you are just somebody who understands this in general, if you are, you can be somebody who gets generally desensitized to death. All right, that is one thing. Another thing is there is pets, there is farm animals, and then there is rodents. All right, there's 3 different categories of animals, right? And people who are desensitized to death are desensitized to it. So what a lot of times happens is, they do what they need to do for their farm animals. And because death is such like a prominent thing, I don't know, it just becomes a thing where killing rodents becomes a game because they are invasive, they cause problems, they are just overall a bad thing, right? In general, like a rodent to somebody who works on a farm and has to deal with them, and maybe moles that eat your garden or whatever, they're just overall a bad thing and they need to be exterminated, gone, just wiped out. That's it. You know what I mean? Not saying extinct, but I mean removed entirely. And it's also important that we don't have an overpopulation of them. But that's like, I'm trying not to say too much. I'm just trying to get the point that matters, right? So, to a lot of people, exterminating rodents can be like a game. They're desensitized to death, and just being a natural hunter or whatever, it just end up enjoying killing invasive creatures, right? So with that, in that sense, let's talk about what Ross did. And what he did was he built a Looney Tunes style mousetrap on his property. And it's basically two giant rubber bands that come down to a middle part, and when the rodent steps on it, it sends them way up high into the air, and then they come landing back down on the ground, and which in his head, you can tell he thought was going to kill it, right? Which I don't think that he thought that in his head that it was going to go like crawling away in pain. Not that it mattered, right? Not that it mattered, but I don't think in his head, I think in his head what he expected was it was going to do its job as any mouse trap sort of thing would, and it would ultimately exterminate the rodent, right? So what is reason for killing, right? What is reason for killing, right? If you're going to kill a dog, right? That's a pet. So you wouldn't kill a dog to eat it, right? That's wrong. We consider that wrong. You wouldn't kill a dog for pretty much any other reason other than the fact that it can no longer, living is too hard for it. So you would get it put down, or some people would just take it out in the fucking backyard and shoot it in the head, right? Some people would do that. And that's just the way it is. And that is just purely out of mercy for the animal, right? So there's things like dogs or cats, right? Or whatever other pets that we ultimately, whatever things that are classified as that like truly pet category, and not like pet rodents, but just like a truly pet category, right? And then we have farm animals, things that we grow and raise to be our food. And so by nature, we kill them not because we want to kill them, but because we need to eat them, and that's what we're planning to do. That's what we want to do. You know what I mean? Or if you were hunting a deer, right, you could go to the store and buy ground beef, right? But you don't go to the store and ground beef. You go and hunt your own deer. So now you're also learning survival tactics in case the end of the world happens someday. And also you're just, there's plenty of reasons to kill those animals, and it's for the good of people, right? To serve the people, right? And then for rodents, we kill rodents because they invade, basically. They are a problem. You know what I mean? We don't kill our food because it's a problem. We don't kill our dog because it's a problem. We kill our dog because it has a problem that's too painful for it to keep existing anymore. But we kill our rodents not to eat them, not because they're already in pain and we're trying to put them out of it, but we kill rodents because we don't want them around, right? So they're basically, yeah, that kind of puts them in this category to just kill them, because that's why. The reason you would kill a rodent is to get it away from you and to remove it off this planet because it's invading, right? And whether or not you want to say that possum was going to create any sort of problem for Ross, you know what I mean? It could simply get into its garbage and make a mess everywhere, or go bury under his house, and start having a family under there. And then now all of a sudden you're hearing like weird noises in your house. You're like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Just for those simple reasons, a rodent being on your property is plenty of reason to kill it. And that's okay. That's humane. That is okay. And there's all these different ways that we the amount of rodents, there's so many. Like, let's not forget, like, rodents are like cockroaches. There's a lot of them. You know what I mean? It's not like they're endangered. You know what I mean? We have a list for endangered animals and endangered species and things that we need to take care of and protect, right? Rodents are not on that list. Rodents are just kind of those things that you can just remove and kill. And that is socially acceptable. You know, and the only thing I would say about killing a rodent that's not socially acceptable is for doing it for literally no reason. So if you're just out in the middle of the woods and you're hiking and you look over your shoulder and you see a fluffy little squirrel, right, hanging out in a tree, and you just boom, blast it into a million pieces for no reason, and you just go, wow, like that was fun. Like I don't agree with that, right? But you're not going to go to jail for doing it. You know what I mean? It's not great. And I don't think that really says a lot. I don't think that says a lot of good things about you as a person for doing that. But you can do that because it's just a rodent. It's acceptable. If I want to go raise mice and I want to raise them, right? I can raise a whole bunch of baby mice and then seal them in a plastic bag and put them in the freezer, freeze them to death, and then take them and feed them to my snake if I want to. I don't need to do that. I can go to the store and buy them frozen already. I can do that, whatever. But I'm just saying, there's not like for rodents, there isn't that, and it's okay. It's okay. They're rodents that we just have to deal with them. You know what I mean? Killing things is not pretty. Even like there's like, I'm sure like you can go and have your dog put down, right, with a needle, right? But if you go and fucking shoot your dog in the head, that shit is gonna be bloody and messy and disgusting and fucking horrible. It's gonna be like, oh my god. Or if you have to kill your cow, you know what I mean? Like, the ways that we kill things is just not pretty, and it's not great in general. And the ways that we kill rodents, it's socially acceptable for them to experience pain. When a mouse puts its head in a mouse trap and gets smashed and its neck is broken, it's bleeding all over, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, that happens all the time. We probably sell 1 billion mouse traps a year, and they probably all go off, and most of the time the mouse doesn't die on impact, and it probably just squirms around like bleeding everywhere. But then when you go out there and you're fucking like, god damn, I'm so happy I got that mouse, you're not thinking about the fact that, oh man, that mouse must have suffered. You're thinking about, whoo, I got that mouse. Hopefully it didn't lay 15 more babies in my walls, and I'm going to have to be dealing with this for the next, forever. You know what I mean? And we can poison them. There's a million different ways to do it. So my point is, this video that Ross made to somebody who is desensitized to death, understands what like the reality is, and to some people that might be hilarious that he made a giant contraption that did a big Looney Tunes style kill like that. I mean who's to say that it's really that horrible of a thing, right? And so yeah, and also there's something to, like, if you are somebody who has to do that, because people have to do that, right, for a living. People have to exterminate rodents for a living. People have to get rid of those things. We can't have an infestation of nasty fucking sewer mice, right? We can't have fucking nasty infestations of just rodents because they're just rodents, right? That we're not going to let them take over the world, right? So we're not going to just let that happen. And also at the same time, we got to get rid of them because they reproduce fast. They go quickly, right? And so people who people who get hired to handle our rodent problem, or people who are paid to raise cow and kill them, right, shouldn't have to live with the feeling of oh man, like I murdered these innocent creatures. You know what I mean? That's a horrible way to live, and clearly based off of nature and just the way nature itself is, and it's a dog world out in nature, and the way that we as humans have to survive and things that we have to do in our life to make us like good, like to keep us functioning as a society as the most dominant fucking creatures on the planet, right? That is just like things that have to be done. And so basically, to be able to laugh at something like this isn't necessarily a horrible thing, because people need to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Like people need to be able to kill them. You know what I mean? It's like you're expecting an exterminator to feel bad for getting all the rats and shit and holes in the wall and stopping that problem from the single mother with kids, right? And the exterminator finally comes and gets rid of all the mice and all the rats, and their food stops being eaten, and all the problems that the mice were creating. You're expecting the exterminator to feel bad about that sort of thing, right? It's the same thing. It's just a rodent. It's just a rodent at the end of the day. And so, like, I hope you see my point. It's not a big call to arms. It's not a big call to arms, and it's not a big, huge, horrible thing. It's just Ross sees the bigger picture and understands and is desensitized to that death. And that is okay. And there's plenty of people who are also the same way as him. And there's plenty of people who would think that is funny and hilarious and just get a good kick out of it. And that is not a bad thing. That is just part of life. You know what I mean? You got to just chalk that up to being part of life. And so, yeah, let's, forget about all that shit. If you don't like that, just don't watch that. You know, you don't have to like get yourself all riled up over it. You don't have, if you just move past it. You know what I mean? If that makes you not want to watch his content anymore for fear of maybe more of that coming out or whatever, and you want to unsubscribe from him, then just do that, right? But this doesn't take away from all of the great things that he did, and I don't think that this is anything bad. I don't think that this is a knock on him as an individual. You know, I think what Ross has done in all of his videos has been absolutely great. And I love the way that he makes other people laugh in his videos. And like the people that he pranks, he makes them laugh. You know what I mean? He helps the world. He kind of helps the world in a way become less sensitive to and be more just fun and open-minded. You know what I mean? Maybe that is like maybe it's deeper rooted. Maybe that's deeper rooted because his whole channel makes people laugh. You know what I mean? He pranks you and makes you laugh, and it's just like, yeah, lighten up a little bit. It's okay. Maybe that's his way of, maybe it's deeper. Maybe this video has deeper meaning, and that's like also him trying to help the world be desensitized to, just be desensitized and not be so sensitive, because like it's a rodent. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you guys get me. Hopefully you guys get me. I fucking love Ross, and I think he's great. I love you fucking penguins. I love you, Charlie. You're goated. All right. I understand. Like it's completely understandable to get so like alarmed and worked up over something like this, right? But with like the knowledge behind and thinking about all of these things, it's really not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. Ross simply exterminated a rodent on his property. It really doesn't matter how you do it at the end of the day. There's a million ways. I've seen videos of people putting propane in mole holes and bam, blowing them up. Yeah, I've witnessed mousetraps in real life. You know what I mean? I've seen videos on YouTube of there's tons of videos of people with pellet guns sniping the shit out of squirrels and rats and just boom, just blowing them up, annihilating them, and it's all fine. It's all fine. It just lands in, it's just that those people who upload videos like that, it falls into the right community of people who also understand that sort of thing. And people who don't understand that sort of thing and are sensitive to that sort of thing, they don't see that stuff, and that might be more alarming to them because that is just not where they're from. You know what I mean? They cannot relate to that. And so, yeah, don't hate on Ross. He's done great things. He's done so many great things, and he's a total legend, and this is not a knock on who he is. And it's not a knock on Charlie either. You know what I mean? It's he makes a million. It's not a knock on Charlie either. We love Charlie. Charlie does a lot of great things as well, and he's a total legend. And this is, at the end of the day, just a big misunderstanding, and I hope that I could bring you guys some more clarity and understanding to this whole situation. Yeah.